I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure here, man. I just filmed the last one. Ooh, I want to watch some Kurzgesagt. I want to watch some Kurzgesagt. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this video. Final Border. Um, I love this channel, by the way. Kurzgesagt. Oh my god, so good. So good. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just it's like 10:04, man. Have to be up at 4 in the morning. But I'm just too dedicated. I just want to do this. I just want to react. I just want to watch things. I actually really find these videos entertaining, and I really want to get off some content. So, because, well, I don't know. I just like sharing pieces of myself, right? Of course, who doesn't? And why wouldn't I? Like, you just love sharing pieces of yourself to the world. To have people be like, to see you in your individuality. Like, what makes you an individual. And see me, and to be able to see my reaction to this video, and we can watch this together, and we can learn things together, right? Maybe this is people's first time watching this video. It's called, I just realized you guys can't see it because of this shit. The Black Swan Theory by Aperture this time, actually. I feel like I don't want to watch two videos from the same people in a row, so I switched it up. Now I'm on to the Black Swan Theory. I think this is more I think this is still politics, is it not? I think Black Swan is a bit of politics, so I guess today was Politic Day. Some politics. I think this is politics. Maybe not. We'll get into it. Anyways, I'm not gonna talk for long. This is a 14-minute video, and I'm not making it another 20-minute one. Let's just go.
You are a chicken. Yes,
Sup?
you.
Because I forgot
You
to
look
say
around
hello.
and sometimes wonder why your owner takes such good care of you. At first, you're not sure.
Man.
You're skeptical. What if he sends you to the slaughterhouse? You've never been there, but you know very well none of your friends have ever come out of that place. You remain on high alert for when that fateful day might arrive. But it never does. Days go by, and then weeks, months, even years. You are now convinced your owner loves you more than any of these other chickens, and he would never do anything bad to you. Each passing day is additional evidence to say that you will live for the next. 1,000 days go by like this. 1,000 beautiful days. Until, of course, the 1,001st day, when the illusion of safety breaks, and you end up on someone's dinner plate.
Damn!
You should have never crossed
Chicken
the
is
road.
good.
Now imagine how betrayed the chicken must have felt when it was being taken to that terrifying part of the farm. Given the 1,000 days worth of evidence, the chicken's trust in its owner was ironically at its highest level when it was eventually slaughtered. Perhaps, if it wasn't so foolish to believe that it was special or unique, maybe it would have at least been spared the feelings of betrayal. That one final day completely changed the outlook of the chicken's life. That one piece of evidence outweighed the previous 1,000 days. And it's not even a contest. This is something known as a black swan, a single event or observation that comes as a surprise with disproportionate consequences, radically changing our outlook about something. People used to think that swans could only be white, until they saw a black swan, which basically reshaped the way people thought about what is out there. Nassim Nicholas Taleb wrote a book called The
This
Black
is
Swan,
not exactly
The
what
Impact
I
of the
thought it
Highly
was.
Improbable, to study this very phenomenon and shine light on how vulnerable we are to black swans, and how we are only becoming increasingly more vulnerable with each passing day. In his book,
Interesting.
he talks about
That
some
is not
fundamentals of
exactly.
epistemology that limit our ability to understand the black swans before they happen. But first, let's talk about why our modern society, as technologically advanced as it
Epistemology is the study of knowledge. The philosophy of knowledge, yeah.
is the perfect nesting place for a black swan event. Let's say we're going to weigh a few thousand people, and at the extreme
I thought
end
he was
of
gonna
that
say a few
sample
thousand
contains
pounds.
the
I was gonna be like,
heaviest
whoa.
person in the world. So long as that person is subject to biological constraints like the rest of us, it doesn't really matter how much he or she weighs. Let's say 2,000 pounds.
Damn!
Now, how much do you think that accounts for in the total weight of all the people we weighed? The answer is probably less than 0.5%. It shows that even a crazy outlier like a 2,000 pound person doesn't really overwhelm the average. Taleb calls this ecosystem mediocriston, to refer to how the mediocre measurements of the average person do mostly represent all measurements quite well. Now,
What's it like to learn math on
Aw,
Brilliant.org?
shit.
Brilliant gets you
No,
hands-on
you
to
hate
help
to
learn
see
by
it.
doing. Learn topics from
You
every
hate to see it. You hate to see
let's
it.
conduct the same experiment, but with wealth. Let's gather a few people and include
Okay,
just one of the
allegedly.
3,000 or so billionaires in that list. How much do you think that billionaire accounts for in the total wealth of all the people in that sample?
How many people were in it?
An overwhelming
3,000?
majority, almost always close to 99%.
Yes.
Contrary to the first scenario, here the outlier overwhelms everything else. Taleb
true.
calls this world extremistan, as it rewards a few people extremely well, but leaves basically nothing for the others. Taleb says that the modern world is composed of circumstances that are geared towards extremistan, not mediocristan, because money, for all intents and purposes, is just a number in someone's book. The vast majority of money is completely digital. It's not subject to physics laws or biology to constrain it to minimal variance. Sure, most people don't make that much money, but a few people can make a lot of money.
I love digital money. It's easy.
Similarly,
Love
if
cards.
you want to consider musicians, most musicians don't sell that many albums, but a few artists sell quite a few. You can conduct the same thought experiment with book sales, scientific publications, shoe brands, and so on. Point is, the modern economy is very much a winner-take-all system that rewards a very small number of people with a disproportionately large portion of the pie. If it was more like the weight example we just talked about, you wouldn't expect the outliers to be so wild. But the fact that they really are indeed so wild just goes to show how unpredictable the environment we're living in really is.
So it makes it unpredictable because the outliers are overwhelmingly different and superior. Like they're overwhelmingly much more better off than the rest of the people, so that makes it unpredictable. But I also wonder, how is it that the mediocre like example, why is it weight of people, the weight of the people? And then what were the other ones? Like shoes, musicians. Money is, I mean, that's just understandable because we all understand the issue with money. We all understand only 1% own everything. And there's motherfuckers that are dying on the street. And then there's Jeff Bezos. There's just fucking Jeff Bezos. And Elon Musk. But at least Elon, he can at least use it for something good. Otherwise Jeff Bezos, I mean, I don't want to hate on the man. I'm sure that, you know, as somebody who's such a public figure, you have to use at least something for good. You know, he's definitely using it in some sort of good way, but it's going to be like not even 1%. Like it's nothing. All I can think of is the fact that he had people take down a fucking bridge so that his big ass fucking little dickhead yacht, his little douchey yacht could fit through it. So he had them take down a whole bridge so that his yacht... You know how rich you have to be for that? You know how rich, how filthy rich, how disgustingly rich. Look at the look on this fucking guy's face, dog. Just come look at this guy. Look, Jeff fucking Bezos. Jeffy fucking Bezos. Look at the look on this guy. Right? I don't hate rich people just because they're rich. But I mean, just look at this guy. Just looks like a fucking dick. Just looks like a fucking penis. He looks like he has the most. He looks like a bell end, bro. He looks like he has the tip of a penis for a head, fool. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Hey, come on. At least he works out. I can respect the body gains. I can respect that. Dude still looks like a penis, though. It's fine, though. I mean, that's just me choosing to just sort of judge this guy for his appearance, which is not really applicable. I guess, like, look, he doesn't care. He has 200 billion, right? I'm not hurting the guy. And I guess that's why it's so easy to do it. Because, of course, look, he's born one day before me. Look, I almost share birthdays with this fucker. Look, 139. Just give it away, man. But no, you have to be with Lauren Sanchez. Fucking dickhead. It doesn't really show that I don't always hate rich people. I don't really always just feel so jealous of you. I'm not a very envious person, right? And I feel like when people are envious, it's so easy to just hate these fuckers. Because you're just like, fuck you. But not really. I don't really feel that way. I just wish they would give more of the money away. I wish, I already know what I would do if I had it. I would be good with it, right? I don't know. I don't hate them.
The forecasts we take for granted today often...
I mean, it's unfair. Like, they are just so much better off in a socio-economic standpoint.
fail to take into account the true nature of this unpredictability.
And as we just learned, I mean, capitalism, I mean, you know how fundamental this shit is to us?
These black
This
swan
shit is
events.
fundamental.
You might be
to
inclined
us.
to say that, no, these billionaires put in the work day in and day out, and therefore
won't say they don't
can
work.
enjoy the fruits of their labor.
But that's not
Indeed,
fruits of their labor.
Most of them probably worked really hard.
Yes.
Some of their innovations might later pave the way for a better future for all of us.
Yes.
I'm not discounting that. However, the system is not rewarding them proportionately. More importantly, it's hard to say how much of their efforts are the fruits of their labor and how much of it is due to pure chance.
Look at that laugh.
If you were
Look
to-
at that fucking laugh, bro. I think I lied to you guys. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, Jeff Bezos is the guy. I just don't like Jeff Bezos for some reason. I even like Amazon. I actually really like Amazon too. But for some reason, I don't know why. It's weird because I don't just dislike people just for disliking them. But my moral compass says it's okay to really dislike this guy for no reason whatsoever. Just because how disproportionately like advantaged he is in this overbearingly fundamental system of society. Like, he is so high up here. And he just looks like such a fucking douche. His douche little fucking laugh. Look at this guy laughing. Look
how
at
much
this
of
guy.
their efforts are
Look
the
at this
fruits of
guy.
their labor and how much of it is due to pure
Look at this
chance.
fucking douche little laugh.
If you were to run a few simulations with extremist and type
Freaking
circumstances, you would inevitably have a few Jeff Bezos-like outliers. We may be biased into thinking that we understand what causes Bezos-like outliers in our society. You know, the usual. Think out of the box, start a revolutionary company, work extremely hard for a few years, and then smell the roses. Happily ever after. We've all read the autobiographies. We've all watched the documentaries. However, when was the last time you read about a person who did all of those things and failed? When was the last time you saw shelves of books about people who failed? Chances are, probably never. These stories just never really quite make it. There is an epistemic bias in all of this. Taleb says, now take a look at the cemetery.
Knowledge bias?
It is quite difficult to do so, because people who fail don't seem to write memoirs. And if they did, those business publishers I know would not even consider giving them the courtesy of a returned phone call. This is despite the fact that, often, advice about what not to do is more useful than what to do. But that's just the economy. That's just one facet of society.
Wow. He's right. Motherfuckers
We
are
also
giving
don't
him a call.
understand the socio-political aspects. Take 9/11, for example, which is certainly a black swan event. After it happened, you had tons of experts come out and say that they had known for years that it was about to happen.
Friends would walk up
Yo,
to me and be
Aperture,
like, "What
man,
the
come
is in your
on,
mug?"
bro.
And I would just tell
Seriously?
them,
Well, why didn't they say anything?
Well, because it's not like they necessarily are like magicians who just, or psychics, or whatever the fuck the people are called, who can see into the future. You just understand in the world of, we live in the universe of entropy. Like in this world of crazy probabilities, you can expect what does Vsauce video say? You can expect a 1 in a million thing, something that you consider a 1 in a million thing that you never thought might happen to you, because it's a 1 in a million thing to happen to you about every 34 days. Somewhere around there, 30, 34. Not really sure the exact number. All I know is you can expect it to happen to you about every 30-something days. 30-something. 1 in a million. So, I mean, when you think about it, you take that, 7 billion people. Take the odds of being hit by lightning when lightning hits Earth 50 times a second or some shit like that. With 7 billion people for it to land on, when it's hitting anywhere on Earth 50 times a second throughout the entire history that humans have been alive, you kind of think, maybe more people should, I come to think about it, I don't really know anybody that's been hit by lightning. Maybe, if I understand that probability well enough, I'd say, maybe more people should be hit by lightning. Not should be, but you'd expect them to be. Of course it's horrible, nobody wants to be hit by lightning, God forbid, but like, it makes sense. Like, we live in a world of a lot of probabilities going on.
This retrospective distortion of the understanding of a problem is one of the hallmarks of a black swan event. None of them really knew. If they did, cockpit doors would have been bulletproof long ago, pocket knives would have never been allowed into cabins, and the TSA would have been invented much earlier. But these things were only instituted after 9/11. If you were to suggest such policies in 1991, for example, you would probably not be taken too seriously, or would have been shown a spreadsheet that suggested airlines don't have the money for bulletproof doors. But inevitably, they did. Thankfully, the likelihood of a 9/11 style event is much lower now than it used to be.
I mean, we just respond
Countries
to
around the world are more prepared,
inputs.
more vigilant.
If there's
However,
no input for
that
it,
also
we don't
makes these
always make the
precautions
output.
somewhat lose their relevance. Yuval Noah Harari, in his book Homo Deus, cites a paradox about knowledge. He says, knowledge that does not change behavior is useless, but knowledge that changes behavior loses its relevance. The more data we have and the better we understand history, the faster history alters its course, and the faster our knowledge becomes outdated. Despite the measures we have taken for a black swan event like 9/11, that does nothing to improve our odds against a future black swan. If anything, it might lure us into a false sense of security, and in fact worsen our chances of coping with the impacts of the next highly improbable event. We tend to convince ourselves that we understand risks once we have understood a game of dice or blackjack. However, trying to approximate the risks in real life with the same methods used in a closed-loop artificial game is simply oversimplification, a mistake that we commit daily. This,
Right.
Taleb calls, is the ludic
I've never been
fallacy.
in a casino. So.
We learn simple games and immediately conclude that the stock market works in the same way, even though one of these things lives in Mediocristan and the other lives in Extremistan. If the markets were well understood, do you think something like GameStop or AMC would have ever been allowed to happen? Sure, short squeezing is not a particularly new phenomenon, and yet, even a non-Black Swan event such as this one left even the smartest hedge fund managers scratching their heads and practically chasing bankruptcy. This false sense of understanding makes
Until
Black
Robin
Swans
Hood
that much
saved
more
them.
dangerous. There are other reasons why we are increasingly more vulnerable to Black Swans. Taleb said whereas in the past people might have been studying different kinds of literature and diving deep into a locally developed set of ideas, today, arguably the most read book is Harry Potter. That's of course not to say Harry Potter is a bad book or anything, but it goes to show that we are much less in tune with each other's ideas, for better or for worse. For the most part, everyone is dealing with generally the same ideas. That coupled with the rising complexity and reach of technology means when something fails, it fails for more people than ever before. The Pakistani government tried to shut down YouTube in Pakistan. It ended up shutting down YouTube worldwide, Taleb cited. We don't understand these things. That's just one way for technology to fail. But it goes to show how interconnected things are. And while that is often touted as a plus, given sufficiently poor luck, that can really spell doom for us all. Take coronal mass ejections as an example. These are regular bursts of radiation from the sun that scientists on Earth know and expect. The largest coronal mass ejection ever on record is the Carrington event in 1859. Its effects were mostly felt by telegraph operators who had some of their equipment burnt from the sudden surge. Most of the world went on without a hitch. On the other hand, if a Carrington-class event were to occur today, with all the grids, electric cars, and equipment that we now have, the damages would be in the trillions of dollars, and repair could take decades if at all possible. And with each passing day, with each little transition into an electric future, we're becoming more and more vulnerable to such an event.
Give
The
it
thing
Cody.
is, this isn't even a Black Swan event. In 2012, the likelihood of a Carrington event in the next decade was calculated to be around 12%. And yet, despite that high probability, we're not particularly prepared for such an event. Given the esoteric nature of its risk, seemingly low probability but high impact, despite all the mounting evidence, you'll have a very hard time convincing governments to make modifications to power grids to avoid catastrophic failures. So if that's how little we care about an event that we know is bound to occur eventually, imagine how unaware we are of a true black swan. The chicken in the farm, were it to somehow be spared by some miracle, would never trust another human being ever after the betrayal it endured. However, few are ever so lucky. Meanwhile, for the owner, the chicken's death comes as no surprise. It is a routine event, and therefore no black swan. The idea of a black swan is therefore relative to the knowledge one possesses. Hence, our objective is to try and be in the position of the butcher, not the butchered. Taleb says, I worry less about advertised and sensational risks, more about the vicious, hidden ones.
I mean, all this is really doing is just going to show how much we don't give a fuck and how much we can't be bothered to really be prepared. A lot of times, we're just not prepared, right? Because I think we're just living off of this it hasn't happened yet thing. So we're not gonna waste our money. I'm gonna focus on my profit margins and not have to waste any unnecessary money. I'm only gonna waste money when it's too late and it's necessary. And it's just like, I don't like that.
Of course, the idea of a black swan also incorporates good things, such as wildly unlikely positive outcomes of chance, otherwise known as life. The odds of being born are 1 in 400 trillion.
This is true.
But to be fair, I just unfollowed my own advice. Such a thing can't really be predicted, can it? For all we know, and for all we don't, being born is an unimaginably unlikely event that nobody really predicted. So if you are alive, whatever that means,
To take risks.
in the end, we're actually all the black swans we've been trying to avoid the entire time.
Yes.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, we are all black swans. This is true. I tell this to people all the time.
Black swan events are, by nature, unforeseen and unavoidable. It's almost anxiety-inducing, knowing that, at any moment, a black swan event could happen, changing the landscape of everything as we know it. The history of over 1,000 days tells you absolutely nothing about what is to happen next. Probability is everything, and with Brilliant, you can not only learn about probability.
I love how seamlessly smooth he was with that advertisement. I love how you just slid in there, bro. You never even saw it coming. You just slid in. I didn't even see it coming. I got an ad for Brilliant in this video, and now he's sponsored by Brilliant at the end of it. My fucking G. But that was an interesting video. That was a good video. I like that video. The Black Swan Theory by Aperture. I don't even know what to say. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty tired. This might be a problem I might have if I always film 2 videos. At the end of the second one, I might just be noticeably much more groggy or just tired than the first one, because I'm tired and it's I'm going right to sleep. But anyways, man, hope y'all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about the Black Swan. Let me know if you have any examples of a black swan for you. If anybody's watching this, made it to the end, I appreciate you. Let me know your black swans. Right? Let me know what you got. What's your black swan? What's something that happened to you that you never could have predicted? You're like, okay, look at all these white swans. Oh shit, there's a black swan. Look at that. Right? Anyways, man, appreciate y'all. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.